and I concur with everything you just said. I mean, reasonable, practical, and Jazz Chisholm
There you go.
is already had a major impact on this team. And I just have to agree even further with you in regards to what David Stearns has done with the Mets. I mean, he's tried, he's churning, he's burning, he's bringing arms and brings in Winker. The substance of the Mets, and maybe they'll get Starling Marte back at some point here too as well. The substance of the Mets are their core players who got off to a horrific start. Their bullpen has been a mess all year long. We know that. And all I can say is that it's not like David Stearns is sitting on his hands. He's working.
He hasn't been the entire year.
No, I mean, he's working. I mean, he's been trying. And he's also trying to protect the future, which is really a unique situation. So remember when Steve Cohen said, I still believe in this team, and David Stearns kind of said the same thing, and it was after, I think, about a month of the season where they were just horrific and one of the worst teams in baseball, as they were at the bottom of the wild card chase.
Yeah, they were one of the 2 or 3 worst teams in the National League, and I remember that Steve Cohen tweet that he thought was a DM to somebody, basically saying that the team was going to get blown up at the trade deadline. I mean, things were bleak.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. You sit here and you sit behind these microphones and you try to keep the emotion out of it, but how can you if you are a hardcore fan like we are? If you are a fan of a team who's not playing well, you start now thinking about, okay, here comes the trade deadline. What are they going to do at the trade deadline? Well, to the credit of the players that turned this season around, they forced the team to make additions. All those additions aren't, spectacular. They're not the Dodgers, what the Dodgers did. I would just tell you that, when I look at the National League for the Mets, obviously the Phillies are going to be a pain in the ass. The Dodgers are going to be a pain in the ass, but everybody else they can hang with. I believe they can hang with.
Yeah, I agree. And now we've got to this point where they're 7 games over 500. They're playing great baseball. And now if they don't make the playoffs, it's going to be a disappointment. I mean, we have gone from if they make the playoffs, it's a miracle, to now they've played so well. If they don't make the playoffs, it's going to be a disappointment. And it's certainly no lock because everything is jumbled up. I mean, there are a ton of teams that are playing really well in the National League right now. 6 teams for 3 spots, and everybody seems to be winning. Now, I don't think the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to be hanging around. They tend to fade. I would be shocked if they ended up making it, but the Mets are just as equipped as anybody out of those 6 and including the Atlanta Braves with the injuries that they have had, to get the number 1 wild card. So that right now, Yankees win the division, Mets number 1 wild card. That's what we're looking at this morning.
Okay, so I'm glad for what we do for a living that these teams are going to stay relevant. That they did what they did at the trade deadline. I think we all were understanding of what the Mets tried to do last year at the trade deadline, which we all felt like was the right thing to do. And I felt like, this wasn't, for the Mets, it wasn't all in. I think the Yankees also felt like if they can get all of their guys back and they don't have body fatigue when it comes to their starting
Well, it sounded like a stomach virus, didn't it? Right. Isn't that what they came up with finally?
Maybe, I don't know. I heard body fatigue, and I didn't know if it was a stomach virus or not.
Well, it was the first thing they said was body fatigue. But didn't somebody come out like Brian Hoke of MLB and say it was a stomach virus? Guys, isn't that what happened? Anybody? Hello? Anybody?
I did not see that, but
You
I'll
didn't
check
see
Hoke's
that?
We
Twitter.
could check. We could check on that. We'll check on that.
All right.
Our crack staff will be all over that. But I felt that the Yankees were going to be there anyway, but the Jazz Chisholm addition has turned out to be spectacular thus far. I mean, spectacular. And last night's win for them was a great win. It was a sleepy 4-1 lead that the Phillies had, and you're thinking, okay, the Phillies probably going to come win this game, and all of a sudden the Yankees come screaming back and they end up winning in 12. And it's a tremendous win for them, and it's one of those wins that you win a game where you didn't think you're going to win it. But when your season turns around, like it feels now, like the Yankees have won 4 in a row, their season is starting to turn back the other way.
Right.
That's what it feels like. And, they add a couple pieces, and next thing you know, if they get everybody back and they get their starting lineup lengthened, they're going to be a bitch to play against. And I still feel like they're going to the World Series. Whether or not they'll win it against I'm thinking the Dodgers or the Phillies, if it's not the Mets, that we'll have to wait till we get here and see what their team looks like in terms of health. but they're loaded, man. They are loaded, and Chisholm has been the elixir, if you ask me, to the energy problems that they've had.
Yeah, and that was a big deal. Now, I see 4:50 yesterday afternoon, Brian Hoke, Garrett Cole has been dealing with a stomach virus for several days, Aaron Boone said.
So what is body fatigue about? What's that all? Where does that come?
I don't know. I have no idea. Well, I don't know why they didn't just say illness, but they went with body fatigue. But as far as Jazz Chisholm and the energy, yes. I mean, that and that right there, I think, Brian Cashman identifying that this team was basically shot. They were dead. They had nothing. I mean, outside of Soto and Judge, everybody was just laying down and taking a nap. And they bring in Chisholm, who is someone that maybe, wore out his welcome in Miami. He was tired of being on a team that generally loses and plays in front of nobody. And now he gets thrust right in to huge series against good teams, against the Red Sox and the Phillies on the road. Now he gets to come back to Yankee Stadium. I mean, just like he is re-energized the Yankees, it's like being on the Yankees has re-energized him.
Is Mark Leiter trade for the Yankees, is that like a Greg Van Roten signing for the Giants?
Yeah, local ties. I suppose. I mean, you got it's the nephew of Al, obviously the son of Mark. So, you got that. And now
we should be excited about that, right? Are we handling it the right way, you think, this morning?
I don't know if the Lighters
we're handling that.
I mean, are the Lighters happy that have we addressed it in the way that we need to address it?
I hope we have, and I hope everybody's happy and feels good, because it looks like it's going to be another nice day today. Maybe a few thunderstorms a little bit later on.
I'm worried about the thunderstorms.
Okay.
Washing us out.
All right.
I don't need to see that. By the way, Mark Leiter Jr. might end up being the closer, because we have another Clay Holmes alert.
Yes, I know. Well, that's going to go on for, that's going to go on for the next 2 months.
Better not. Better not.
Maybe there could be some tired arms. You never know. One of these guys gets put on the shelf for a couple weeks.
Aaron Judge did step up and have his back in a big way, which was...
That's what captains do.
Yeah, exactly. Leadership. Stepping up, having your guys back. But I wouldn't expect anything else from Aaron Judge. I mean, what is he going to say? Like, this guy stinks. We've had enough. If he doesn't get any better, we're going to ship him out. Trade deadline, we brought in some arms. We're not dealing with this crap. We're a championship team. We don't need Clay Holmes spitting up on himself in the mound.
But is there a more of an example of a relief pitching situation than Michael Tonkin? I mean, that
he's
in
the
itself,
personification.
Yeah, personification of relief pitching at Major League Baseball.
Right. Yeah, I think that's fair.
And that's what's going on. Now, I know that there are teams out there like Arizona and the Dodgers that really refortified and restocked their team. I feel like the Dodgers signed a whole nother roster.
Well, I mean, this is, I mean, you want to talk about all in. I mean, my God. I mean, that franchise, no matter what it is, offseason, trade deadline, whatever, I mean, they are just wheeling and dealing and paying and trading and just... And they've got one World Series, and it was the COVID season. So what does it mean?
It's like the Lakers.
Yeah.
You went in during the COVID season, the bubble championship.
Don't feel like it matters.
Yeah, but it does.
Doesn't.
It still does.
It does, but not in the way that a regular...
But it does.
It does, but it doesn't.
It does.
It's like winning your club championship at your country club. Like, it's great.
For you, but
you didn't win the Masters.
But nobody does. Yeah,
nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Right. I mean, it's great for you guys that you had that moment, but really nobody cares.
Nobody cares, right?
Yeah. That's sort of what it's like, right?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a little bit more than that. I mean, they still did have to play against other professional basketball players and other professional baseball players, just didn't have to do it in front of somebody. It's like the NFL, same thing.
But they only had a 60-game season.
I tell you, it was the weirdest thing ever when I did the Cardinal-Rams game out there at SoFi, and there was nobody there. It was just me and Jim Nance.
That's right.
Hi, Jim.
Just the two of you.
Yes.
Two of you and the players.
Just talking football.
Yep. You just blowtorching Chris Strevler.
Yeah.
And pissing off all of Canada.
Well, hey, listen. It's like when I was in here last week, and you had you and Stu Gotts in here.
Yeah.
Stu Gotts was blowtorching everybody around here.
He was.
I mean, and it got headlines.
It certainly did.
So I'm telling you the same thing. Nobody cared about this particular game between the Cardinals and the Rams.
Yeah.
And it got headlines.
And yes, it did, and certainly in Canada.
Oh, 100%.
You made big time headlines in Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, and they still to this day have not let it go.
Right.